Okay, we have Mr. Mackey here. Are we ready? Okay, we call the meeting to order. If you would join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, please.
Chairman Azarmi,
That's you. Oh, here. I didn't hear you. Sorry. Is there a speaker on?
yes, I think so. Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Vice Chairman Orr, Keith Eaton, Edward Kolick, Doug McKee,
Here.
Paul Selberg,
Here?
Keith Walker,
Here.
Timothy Walsh.
Present.
Mr. Chairman, we have a quorum.
Thank you. Okay, we have the approval of the April 5th, 2017 minutes, the commissions, or let's say the board members.
I will make a motion to approve those.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and we have a second discussion. Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Okay, this time we'd like to make the call to public.
My name is John Caponetto. I'm here representing the Mojave Valley Contractors Association. I'm here basically today just to go ahead and state our opposition to the recent increases in the building and zoning fee schedule. And we're in hopes that this group here will push to have those fees rescinded, or at least analyzed to the point to find out why they've increased in the amount that they have. And I just wanted to make our point known here, and that whatever help you may need, you have our full support in accomplishing that task. And we look forward to working together to get that accomplished. Thank you.
Thank you, John. Karen?
Good afternoon. My name is Karen Flanagan, and I'm here on behalf of Supervisor Angus. She couldn't be here today. She asked me to read this following statement. Chairman Azarmi, members of the board, from the moment I saw the fee hikes for the building and zoning, I was concerned with the process used to justify them. I don't believe the building community was notified in a proper manner. I understand that everything was done to the letter of the law, but as you know, sometimes that isn't enough to gain public's trust, and in this case, I don't believe the public interest was served. When the ordinances were first presented to the board at public hearing on August 7th, along with the most contentious budget meeting I've ever been a part of, I asked that the item be continued for a few weeks so I could be satisfied that the building community was aware of them. Obviously, that did not happen. What troubled me was that the Board of Supervisors were told that you, the Building Code Advisory Board, were in agreement with the way the hikes were presented and agreed with the amount of hikes. However, upon reading the minutes of your last meeting, I quickly learned that was not the case. I want to thank this board for questioning the need for these fee hikes and for suggesting less burdensome fees to start with along the periods of reexamination in months and years ahead. I believe that this is the proper course of action. To make a long story short, I am working towards rescinding all the fees, both zoning and building. Apparently now we must have a public hearing to even start talking about it. I have an item on this Monday's board meeting set to set the public hearing at the earliest date legally possible, which is November 6th. At that November meeting, I will ask that the ordinances be rescinded and Development Services starts a process over and do a true public hearing, involve the contractors and builders to ensure whatever fee hikes that are approved will be fair and equitable and only calculated to meet the needs of the departments as defined by state law. I'm asking for your support in writing, either as a board or as individuals, to rescind the new ordinances and start the public process over again. Thank you for your time and your commitment to the people of Mojave County.
Thank you. At this time, I'd like to have some opening statement about, my observation of what's going on. And just want to let you know, been here for 28 years, dealing with the building department for many, many years. I'm building about 800 homes in the tri-state area. I've seen them all. And I can tell you, with the past experience of the past 2 months or so that I've been involved, I've never, ever seen our building department in such a disaster. I'm very disappointed of the building department. And, there are several different reasons that, we have for that. And, more than anything else, when we had our last meeting with the Code Advisory Board, our recommendation, and if you look at the minutes, it talks about customer service. We always emphasize on customer service, meaning that, okay, the money that you're going to be receiving, according to the state law, is for the services rendered. And our recommendation was, okay, well, if you want to go forward with that, would be 35%, hike on the permit fee, but yet you need to increase, the quality of the customer service. Unfortunately, that is not what happened after that meeting we had. We had 100%, almost 100% increase in the price, in the permit fee, but yet we changed from a servant or being serving to the community to become regulators and heavily regulators, to the point that it is. I know in my area, Bullhead area, and Fort Mojave, Mojave Valley, we had some examples that is unbelievable. We had one business owner that is at the verge of bankruptcy, and I'm glad that somehow in a different meeting, in a CAA meeting, a Citizen Achievement Award meeting, I was a judge, and this lady was there and brought it up to my attention, and I'm glad that I immediately communicated with Director Walsh and got taken care of. She planned to spend only $5,000 on very simple renovation, and she's north of $20,000, and still from May until now still doesn't, just started to take care of it. There are a lot of examples. Those are all reviewed by Director Walsh, and I'm pleased to say that Director Walsh has been very busy reviewing some of these cases and taking action, and I'm seeing some signs of change on the building department. We never ever in 12, 15 years that I know directly working with Nick Hunt and the Bullhead office, I've never ever heard of a word of somebody hiring an attorney or having retaliation. Those are the words. And then now it's becoming very fashionable that anytime that there is a dispute with someone, all of a sudden ROC shows up in those building projects. And that's very quite interesting, what's going on, right now. But I'm sure that with basically conversation that I had with Director Walsh, I know is committing, and he basically, in my opinion, again, my opinion, he got blindsided with what happened within the building department. So he's basically taking the proper action to basically correct the situation, because we were customer oriented, and personally working and serving as a volunteer for many Mojave County seats and chairs, including Planning and Zoning Commission, Technical Advisory Board, and many other areas that I volunteer myself. if this is going to be the building department and if this is going to be the behavior, definitely I don't want to have my name associated with any of that. So I'm, right now giving some time to see if that would be remedied. Otherwise, I don't want to have anything to do with any part of the Mojave County because this is not what I bargained for. And with that, I'm going to open it up to discussion with other board members if they have any comments. You have any comments?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I see too that we have gone from a very efficient building department, probably one of the best we've had in years, to some very serious hiccups over the last several months. Not that they're unsurmountable. I think that they can be redone. But my biggest fear are these fee hikes that kind of came into play. Mr. Chairman, do you mind if I bring this up at this point? Thank you. My biggest fear on fee hikes are very. A little background on myself. I'm a very limited government person. Kind of what the chairman was speaking about before is the building departments, police departments, or community services are there to serve the public, to do the will of the people, make sure that the people are protected, and that also serves the contractors. Also, we protect each other, and I think that you guys have done that in a fairly efficient manner. The fee hikes that I saw were just, and I sadly was not here present at the last meeting, and I apologize for my lack of attendance at it. Let me back up a little bit, that in about 98, we had an emerging market. I don't know how many people were around during that emerging market, but I understand the subprime lending, and I understand that the bubble that was created, but nevertheless, we had a market. It was an opportunity for the county and the contractors all to make money and turn revenue for ourselves, increase the funds to the building departments, regardless of the reasons for the bubble or the boom, as I should say. But one of the problems that I noticed with the boom was right off the bat is I was building really nice riverfront homes at about $120 a square foot prior to the boom, and making a nice profit, and so were other contractors. Other contractors stepped in, and literally overnight they were turning $220 and $225 a square foot for the same homes that I was building them for, but not putting in the things that I was putting in. I was offering granite, travertine, and like I said, turning a nice profit. And there's nothing wrong with profit. I'm a capitalist, 110%. I am all about profit and what markets will bear. But one of the problems with what markets will bear, too, is the burdens that we might put on them in the process of trying to create revenue for ourselves and for the county and the individual. What happened ultimately is I believe that Mojave County had what I consider a fair market. It was a great second home market for Californians that we highly relied on. At the time, we had an emerging, what I call tax-paying, tax-based middle class that has came here and settled here now, and we're kind of reliant on our own base. We're not so reliant on the California market anymore. That being said, and moved to the side, I think one of the shames that happened with those huge cost increases and not only building materials, but the contractors kind of jumped in on it, was that we cut ourselves short of a market that I think could have extended another two years beyond the 2008 light switch that went off. And I'm afraid that happened simply because of human greed, which is understandable in a market when it's booming. But I think that we could have played it a little bit better as contractors to perhaps say, let's slow down. We don't need to be charging this much. We could have extended that market a little bit farther. And that long story being pushed off again to the side, I'll relate my comments directly to the building fees. We have an opportunity to see this emerging market. We have a true emerging market, which I think we can last 4 or 5 years. It's not based on subprime lending, not based on a false bubble. I think that the world is reinvesting in America. They are reinvesting in real estate, and it's a true emerging market that I honestly see we can get some serious growth for the next 5, maybe 6 years out of it. 5, I can pretty much count on. I'm hoping for 6. And then I don't see the light switch going off at the end of it. I see maybe a couple % growth after this initial boom, and hopefully consistent growth out of that market. My fears with these, and I'm going off of memory, and I didn't bring the paperwork with me, some of these fees were 1,500% hikes. in things, fees going from $300 to $1,500 and $2,000, and that concerns me. And I understand a working revenue is very important for the building department, and we want to support that because it is a valuable department for us. You know, we see the value in it as contractors, and our homeowners receive a benefit also. So a real profit and real revenue is acceptable, and we are certainly willing to participate in that. But my concerns are these exorbitant rate hikes that I'm afraid are going to club the market in the shins as it's coming out of the gate. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Keith, do you have any comments? No. Paul?
No.
Okay. One thing I may add is, since I was in the meeting, last meeting that we had here, I just want to make sure for the record mention that Director Walsh's intention was not to be, 100%, increase in everything. He was just working on some criteria, and that was basically presented as a point of discussion to the Board of Supervisors. Unfortunately, one of the supervisors, jumped on it and, made a motion. And, I know for a fact, and I have mentioned that to, Supervisor Angus, that I know the intention was not to deny her of any time to review or, the 2 weeks time or anything like that. It was just happened that, that was kind of presented, and one supervisor made a motion, the other two went for it, and that's how it was passed. So again, talking to Director Walsh, he's willing to work with whatever hand is being served to him, and he has no particular agenda on this particular, situation. As I said, it just happened that, the supervisors are the one that they were the ultimate decision makers, and I can see a valid point from, Supervisor Angus that she wants a little bit more time to, dissect it, to work with the stakeholders, review it, and, come back to a resolution that is going to be. But again, more than anything else, and, I mentioned that to Director Walsh, the cost of not having a customer service-oriented building department is significantly more expensive than some of these fees that we are looking at. So it has to be a combination of both. It has to be both a reasonable fee, but at the same time, the customer service oriented department can help or kind of break a contractor. And I gave an example in my office to Director Walsh that the concrete crew, which is very simply consists of 7 people, in 4 working days is close to like $5,000–6,000. And when you are not getting your permits on time and there are some delays on it, that cost is going to be exaggerated. So as the contractors, we all know that we have 2 choices. One is to lay off those who are working. Then after we get the permit, then we have to beg them to come back to work, or find somebody else to do the job, which is impossible. Or bite the bullet and pay the payroll and say, okay, we'll wait for the permit to show up. So there are a lot of, it's not one-dimensional, it is multidimensional, and unfortunately, this what we had in the pipeline, and it was working very smoothly as you suggested, and was working. All of a sudden, we decided that no, this is not working, and we want to make a change and make a major reform. But the reform that we basically imposed on all the contractors and ultimately the end users was a negative situation. So that is part of the discussion that I see in the community, and it is very sad. It is very sad, and as I said, but I'm glad that Director Walsh is taking steps to correct that situation, and I hope that we would be able to go back to what we had. And again, the other thing that we had in the meeting when we were trying to adopt the 2012 code, the discussion was not about the content of the code. You all know that. It was basically Director Hunt wanted to make sure that we would be able, or the county would be able to enjoy that insurance That was the whole concept. Otherwise, we were all happy, and everybody was happy with the 2006, and even some of it from 2003. So I think that a meeting that we had was, multiple meetings that we had, was try to take the sharp corners off of it and have like the name of it 2012, but the engine of the 2006. And that was the intention of the code advisory board, and at the same time Director Hunt, and at the same time Board of Supervisors. But in the recent months, that instead of finding the discrepancies, that maybe the misunderstanding, or maybe the areas that the code advisory board did not cover, and make an itemized list and say, hey guys, these items are not according to the ordinance, so let's talk it over, and before we start imposing it on the public and the contractors and the homeowners, let's go ahead and review it and then make the modification and change and take it to the supervisors again. We decided unilaterally to just go ahead and impose certain a part of the code on certain part of the framing or whatever it was, and that caused a lot of more problems also as well. So there are some issues that it's been addressed and there's been talked over, and I'm hoping that we would be able to find a solution to go forward with much smoother with the direction that Director Walsh is basically imposing right now on the building department. Director Walsh, do you have any comments you want to make?
Chairman Azarmi, I appreciate the opportunity. I would just, if I may, I would just like to take a little bit more ownership, I think, than has been portrayed in my direction. As you all know, I started as director here in February, and I think we brought Ed on about middle of March. At that time, Ed was the acting chief building official, and then in April to May, we brought him on full-time as...
July 1st.
Oh, was it July? Okay, July 1st, we had him as a full-time chief building official. And my background, just to give you a little bit of information, my background's in civil engineering. I used to work at a land development firm here in Kingman as a consulting engineer, and then have worked for the county 8 years now. And I was over in Public Works, and for those engineering plans are different than building plans, and I come from an engineering plans background. So there was a few things that prior to Ed that I saw that had me a little bit concerned. In engineering, you don't adjust those plans. You don't make notes, you don't draw them. Building, it's a little bit different. It's a prescriptive code that allows for some of those revisions with the consent of the applicant. I may have overstepped may have overreacted when I started seeing some of those things done, and my direction was, no, we don't make those changes. You make the comments, you send it back, you let them make those changes. So a lot of, I think maybe some of the hiccups that we were seeing, some of that poor customer service was at my direction. That was my direction at the time. Well, as I've learned more about this building code and the processes there, that it is a different animal than in engineering plans, we've rolled those back. And Ed and I have worked here, really looked at a lot of the different things that we can do to improve customer service with input from Chairman Arzarmi and many of the building community. We've looked at, okay, what are some things that we can do to improve customer service? And Ed and I have really put our heads together and implemented a lot of those things. So it's a big ship, and turning it can take a little bit of time, but I hope that you're starting to see those results already, and I can promise you, if you're not yet, that you will begin to see those results. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, do you have any other comments?
Just a comment that Director Walsh, the first time I had an opportunity to meet you, and I appreciate it. But Ed has been, several times that I've met him, he's been very customer oriented. Always has his hand out, asks if we see anything that we can improve upon. So he's been very willingness, showed a very great willingness to do that, and we appreciate it.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I just wanted to say that I think it's a good idea that the supervisors may be looking over that, what they had approved at the last meeting, and kind of see how we can kind of adopt it more according to how we had suggested earlier at the last meeting. And so I think that would probably kind of eliminate the shock of these fees coming in all at one time. I just think it's kind of unfortunate that you had to wait this long to start that process, because I primarily do my architectural work in the major cities in the county, and we haven't been confronted with that situation, and things seem to have moved along pretty smoothly at the municipality level. So, but thank you.
Thanks. Thank you. Okay, with that, we're going to open up to the new business, the discussion and possible action on recommendations for a standardized plan. We have one speaker, Mr. Engel. Tyler?
Thank you, Chairman, and Board. This is an item I'd kind of been talking with.
Please state your name.
Oh, Tyler Engel, the president of Engel Homes here in Kingman. We build in the city limits and also in some subdivisions around town, and then out in the mountains every once in a
Thank you.
while. But so we work with the county quite a bit, and we are mostly a production builder, do some semi-custom, but most of our volume is production, and so we standardize our plans in both the city of Kingman, sometimes in Bullhead, and in the county. And we realized, looking at the way the standardization rules are written in the county right now, that they basically are only good until the end of the calendar year in which they are standardized. So if you standardize today, it would expire at the end of this year, so it would only be good for a couple months. So it just doesn't seem, intuitive and doesn't really make sense, since the idea behind the standardized plans is probably to save both the builder and the department money and less time in reviewing, and so because you can standardize it, use the exact same plan, they don't have to keep doing a full review, so the fees are less, so it's kind of a win-win there. But so we realized it's pretty short and gets onerous to keep re-standardizing and only be able to get to use it for maybe 12 months at the longest, where Kingman is a couple years and Bullhead, I think, is until the next code update is approved. And so we're just pushing to get that extended to be more of like a 2-year time frame, or until the next code update. But I think the building official had a proposal there to present today along those lines. But yeah, we're definitely in support of extending that out, just to make it better for everyone, so we don't have to do reviews as often.
Basically, what you're saying, Mr. Engel, is that, nothing is going to change on your plans until the code changes, and those changes are going to be implemented on the new standardized plan.
Yeah, so if we do a standardized plan, it stays that exact plan until
The
it
code
expires, or a code change. Sometimes we will have a design change where, hey, we want to do the kitchen different from now on, and we'll come in and resubmit, do a new standardized plan. But most of the time, no changes until a code change or an expiration.
Okay.
Chairman Nizami, I have met with Tyler numerous times regarding this, and we did a survey of the different cities and counties around the area, and we determined that the Mojave County, we had a fee of $100 for a 1-year process. The other cities are anywhere between $200 and $400 for their standardized plans. They did allow longer periods of time. Looking at that and looking at what staff involvement was occurred for those processes, I'm making a suggestion that we change our standardization plan to be effective for 2 years once they've been approved at the same rate with no fee increase.
Mr. Kulik, if the code is not going to change, what is going to change that you need to have 2 years? Why don't you accept the proposal that Tyler has about, until the code changes? Because you're not going to change anything. The code is the same. He has to comply with that code. So why is it 2 years? I mean, what is the, relation between the 2 years?
Well, because I kind of took the middle ground. Most of your cities and counties have a limitation, and so I figured I wouldn't charge anymore, but we'd give them the 2-year service. And I thought that would be a good
Okay,
process, but
I
I'm
assume
open
that
to
you have no
anything.
objection about, the code change, right?
Right.
Okay.
And I do have that in there. It was 2 years or when there's an adoption of a new
Yeah,
code.
but I mean, what I'm hearing from, Mr. Angler is that, saying that, the code is going to, the time that, he has to redraw the plans and resubmit and standardize it again. So, as long as, he's still, every building that he pulls the permit, he's paying fees. He's paying the permits.
Correct.
So what I'm saying is that, that is not going to be a factor in terms of, the plans that he's going to do. He's not going to do anything different on the plans. So the 2 years, in my opinion, is irrelevant of the, the process. And I make that, a recommendation to the board to consider just the code change would be the factor, not, the time limit. So any other discussion? No. Do you have any comments, Director?
We'd be open to whatever the board recommends on that. I think part of it is recognizing Mr. Engel's point is, yeah, if they submitted plans and we got it standardized and then they expired at the end of the year, yeah, that doesn't make a whole lot of sense right now.
Right.
So what we were looking to do was accommodate that, and Ed and his department basically looked to see what's the norm with something like this, and typically the norm would be right around a couple of years on that.
Right,
So
but
that-
you understand, Director Walsh, that, until the code changes, the plans are still valid and are good.
Yep.
So, and the fees are still going on, the same, so there's nothing going to be, changed.
And
It's
we'd
not
have no
something that,
objection if-
yes,
if
it's
the
not
board-
something that's related to a fiscal year or calendar year or anything like that.
Yep.
All right,
One thing the staff did consider is home builders having numerous plans that we're storing and taking up our valuable storage space, which aren't being built anymore. So that was part of the decision for the 2 years as well.
but you would be able to
whatever-
accept digital, CDs or whatever, right?
Yeah, if we could, that's where we're moving towards, is
Right.
asking
So
for
that would be an
digital
easy
files.
solution. I assume that, Angler or whoever, can provide you with a CD of a typical and download it to your, drive, and also you have it available, for review, right?
That would be an option. We haven't gotten to the electronic review yet,
No,
but yeah.
but I'm saying that would be on
something
the archive, that you will be able to
Yeah.
have it, so that's just in case that, they want to pull and check to make sure that, Angler is not making any changes, they would be able to, double check that, right?
Sure.
Okay, if there is no other comments, you want to make a motion to go with the code? Go ahead.
I'll make a motion to go with the code with zero expiration until the building code changes.
Chairman Arzami, if I may
one
just
moment.
make one comment.
Sure.
Ed recognized one point as far as records retention.
Record retention requires if there's no action on a particular document after a 6-month period, we need to destroy those files. So that's one thing that we need to make sure.
Okay, that's a
that-
policy, right?
No, that's
state
state statute.
Okay, but you can
Records
renew it,
retention.
right?
And we can look into that and identify
But
what
you-
those requirements
And that's what the 2-year would do, is we wouldn't be doing a re-review, we just renew the process, so we could keep those as viable plans.
So it can be renewed, right?
Correct.
And that renewals at year end, I'm sorry, Mr. Chairman, if I'm out of order. That renewals at year end, the contractor doesn't have to do anything?
No, the contractor would have to tell us, yes, we're still going to continue building these plans. And then that way, there would be activity on that, so then records retention would
okay.
not come into
So basically
play.
what you're saying is that, let's say, Angler needs to, every 6 months, send you a letter that we are going to continue with the
Right,
plan?
after the 2-year expiration,
Oh, after the 2 years?
Right.
Oh, okay. But within the first, basically, if the way that Board Member McKee basically said, it's going to be until the code change.
right, and
So-
I support that.
Right, thank you.
And what we can do with that is just part of our policy, just make it a part of our policy to email the various standardized plan holders that we have, email them, ask if they'd like to continue with us holding
I appreciate
those.
that. Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion. If not, all in favor? Aye. Motion carries. Okay, item number 2, discussion and possible action on recommendations for electrical service panels, 400 amp and 600 amp. This is your ballgame.
Okay.
So.
Chairman Zami and
Yes.
committee. I'm having a little bit of concerns with some electrical installations in the county. We're having a lot of homeowners attempting to do 400 amp services, and they are not able to fill out the load calculations that are required for that size panel. My recommendation on that would be that we require licensed contractors to obtain 400 amp service panels. And then as far as 600 amp and above, the Board of Technical Registrations requires 601 amps and above to have a licensed electrical engineer. And I'm seeking assistance in changing that to be 600 amp and above, a licensed electrical engineer for the design. And of course, at that point, it would require a licensed electrical contractor. These are, in my opinion, with my experience, when we start getting into panels that size, the danger for the public out there is very high. And there's a lot of case studies where people have gotten injured with that size amperage panels. And so I'm seeking direction if this is something that you feel would be beneficial for the county.
So basically, you're just trying to keep it so a homeowner can't come in and pull a permit for a 400 amp
Without the guidance of a
of an
contractor.
electrical
Well,
contractor.
my understanding is that electrical has to be done with a licensed, bonded, and insured electrician anyway, right?
That is not true.
Not with an owner-builder. Owner-builder
Owner
can...
builders can do it, and
Can do-
that's where we're
Can
having
do
the
their
issues.
own electric?
Yes.
Yeah,
And plumbing, too.
that's the issue that we're having is homeowners are coming in, going to Home Depot and going to put a 400 amp panel on their home, and they don't have an idea of what
I didn't know
dangers that they're.
Yeah, I was not aware of that. I thought that electrical, plumbing, and mechanical needs to be done with licensed, insured, and bonded. I know that at MEC, Mojave Electric Co-op, they don't have 400. They have like 320,
325.
325. That is basically what they offer.
Right.
And so if this is going to be in a jurisdiction that Mojave Electric is involved, you might want to consider that also a factor, because I haven't heard of 400. It's basically 325.
Yeah, the county is getting quite a few permits for 400 amp services.
We do quite a few. And
So it's 400 and for
Resource
in this
area.
area?
Well, I think, Mr. Chairman, I think the issue is that he's concerned about 600 and above. So the 400 amp is,
600 amp, I'm concerned about having an electrical engineer. I've had a
Right.
couple electrical contractors submit drawings that they didn't quite understand the requirements of the NEC when it came to that size amperage panels.
So, Mr. Koch, your recommendation is that, for the 400 amp, your recommendation is that the county would adopt a policy that it must be pulled by a contractor.
A licensed
But you are not
contractor.
asking any electrical engineer or anything like that?
Not for 400 amp,
400,
but for 600 amp, yes.
okay. So,
I'm okay with
Yeah.
that. I mean,
Doug,
you're going to require an EE or just a civil engineer can look at and
Well,
review
according
it
to
and
the
stamp it?
Board of Technical Registrations, any stamping design professional that feels competent can stamp that drawing,
Okay.
and that would be acceptable.
Okay.
okay. So, you want to make a motion?
I will make a motion to approve this per staff's recommendation.
a second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Item number 3, discussion of possible action on recommendations for swimming pool inspections.
This is another area where I feel we can assist the contractors. In my years of experience in Arizona and in California, we've typically only performed 2 inspections on swimming pools, and currently the county requires 3. And I was seeking direction. If we could reduce the inspections to 2, you would have your pre-gunite inspection where you have all your underground piping put in, your rough electric, and then they would gunite the pool. Second inspection would be after the pool is gunnited, we'd come in and make sure all the plumbing is all attached and functional, hooked up properly, and we check your fence and gates at that time, and that would be your final inspection, and that would reduce us coming back after the pool is filled with water just to make sure the fence is up. Because my opinion is, once we've given you the pre-plaster inspection, you're going to fill the pool and the danger is there. So why not make sure that we got the danger covered at that point and eliminate one more trip coming back?
Have you had any feedback from the pool contractors on this item? Have you communicated with them? Did we give them the
I've
opportunity?
talked to a few of them, and they have said, anytime we can reduce the inspections, they're happy with that. That's why I'm seeking advice from the board, if they think that would be a...
Yeah, but you mentioned that, at the time of the gunite, you want the full compliance of, like the fence, wall, and
No, at pre-plaster.
the pre-plaster,
So that would be, the pool's already
gunite.
gunnited. You're coming in, you're verifying.
So the time that they want to fill it up with water, you want to make sure that basically you would be able to inspect it.
Right.
Okay, no, that works. I misunderstood. I thought you said at the time of the gunite, because
No.
I know there's going to be still need to have access.
Pre-plaster, you'd have pre-gunite and pre-plaster.
Mr. Chairman, I think that would also make it a lot safer as well, because if they fill the pool, they don't have a fence, then it's dangerous. So
Yeah.
I think that's a good idea. Thank you.
Any other discussion? If not, entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve the issue per staff's recommendation.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second discussion. If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, next item is the portal wall frame.
I think we can tie this into a couple of different items. I have an idea how we can make the 2012, 2006 issue a little bit easier for everybody to work with. I've been doing this for a long time. I sit on the National Code Change Committee for ICC. We are already into the 2021 code, so I know there's things change back and forth for the better, for the worse. What I've done in the past is when we had contentious issues, I'd like the 2012 code and I like the 2006 code. I think there's benefits on both sides. My recommendation would be is that we adopt the 2012 code, but we also allow the 2006 code be used under alternate means and methods. So if your product does better coming out of the 2006 code, the building official has the authority to allow alternate means and methods. We say, okay, build it out, you're gonna build your products out of the 2006 code. People, because we get designers from all over the country designing plans. They come to us and they've got 2012. Well, we're saying, well, according to our ordinance, you have to design this portion of your plan to the 2006 code. So then they have to redesign. So I think to make the best of both worlds, we adopt the 2012 code for people that want to use that, and then people that want to use the 2006 code, we allow that under alternate means and methods. And I think that will clear up a lot of the confusing areas, especially when it comes to portal frames. In the 2006 code, there's one option for portal frames. Go to the 2012 code, there weren't any changes in the 12 to portal frames, but the 2009 code, the whole section was rewritten. And so that's where the heartburn's coming in, because there's some things that are a little more lenient in the 12 than the 6, but they're different. Not saying one's more palatable than the other, but it was just a different way. The engineers came up, there's a committee of engineers that develops that section of the code. And when they reviewed it, that's what they came up with. We're going to give you, it's a little bit different, but we give you 8 different options to choose from, opposed in the 6, there's one type of portal frame. So I would make that suggestion to the board if that would help with the issues that we have. Some things are in the 6, some things are in the 12. And unfortunately, when you change one item in the code, the county doesn't have the time to go through the whole entire code to find out where those changes affect other things in the code, which ICC has a whole staff that's all they do is when a code change is proposed, they have a staff of people that go through the entire book and see where that would affect the other items in the code, and then they have to be modified to fit that code change.
Mr. Kolik, the IBC 2003 started with a portal frame that, basically,
Right.
I know that was being applied in our area. And again, one of the main reasons, as most of you know, was because the garage doors started to go to 8 feet, and the size of the garages stayed at 20 feet by 20 feet.
Right.
So that did not provide that ratio of height to, HOA 3, whatever it was. And, that caused a lot of problem, and that's why they came up with this IBC 2003 portal frame. So am I understanding you right, that what your recommendation is, that it can be the portal frame that was recommended in 2003, 2006, if somebody wants to build with the code, or 2012, they can basically use that, right?
What I'm saying is.
So are you enforcing just the 2012, or you're saying that?
No, right now, we're enforcing the 2012 with the 2006 portal frame requirements.
Okay,
A lot of designers have gone straight to the 2012 portal frame design. As per our ordinance right now, that's a violation because it wasn't designed to the 2012. So that's where the rub's coming in, because instead of modifying it to and/or, it was, we're going to design the wind load requirements and wall bracing under the 2006. And so if somebody turns in the 2012, they don't comply with the ordinance that was adopted by the Board of Supervisors.
If I may clarify, then, I think what the chief building official is proposing is that we adopt both the 2012, but then also allow for the 2006 to be
that was my
accepted
understanding.
In
So,
total, I would,
altogether.
yeah, not just portal frame, I would say we should allow, if somebody wants to use the 2006 code, we allow them to use the whole book.
But they have to use the whole,
They have to use
so
the
you're saying
whole
that they
book.
cannot pick and choose?
Correct.
Okay.
And that
So
makes
if part
it,
of the house is based on 2012, and part of the house is based on 2006, you have a problem with that,
I'm saying they're not compatible.
if they're related, right,
Right. If they're intermingled
on that item?
of any items,
the
because,
whole plan would have to be one or the other. Right? The whole plan would have to be one or the other.
right, one or the other, and then that makes it easier for the inspectors in the field, makes it easier for the plans examiners, and for your tradespeople. They know we're doing this for this set of plans, or we're doing this for the other set of plans. That was just one option that I came up to try and resolve the.
And what did we have, if I may ask, what did we have 5 months ago?
We had that, you had the 2012 with the 2006 wall bracing. And majority of our comment letters going out from the Kingman office, even before I got here, was that you can't intermix the two codes. You know, they were submitting 12 with 2006 part of the wall bracing, but part of the 6 wall bracing. So they weren't doing a clear cut of the requirements that were adopted by the Board of Supervisors.
Mr. Chairman?
Please.
Question, I think part of the confusion might be is we never adopted, our recommendation was never to adopt the 2012 IRC in its totality. We went through, we spent actually quite a few times as a board going through and kind of picking what, gleaned from it, if you will, of what we felt was suitable for Mojave County. And a lot of that wall bracing, I believe that we left out intentionally because it was very convoluted. And it's my understanding also that the city of Kingman, who did adopt it, has had a lot of trouble with that. So we kind of sidestepped it.
Right, and
So- and I think
and
that's-
I'm not
that's-
disagreeing with that. I'm saying, but I think what we should do is we should adopt the 6 as an alternate means and method, so you can totally comply with that.
And
And
I-
we won't be mixing the two, and we're having, you know, local designers know what the requirements are. The out-of-area designers are having issues with that, and I'm just trying to make it easy for both.
So the other area designers are basically applicable to the commercial projects, right?
No,
Because
we're actually.
builders from outside?
Yeah, especially up in the scenic and Beaver Dam area. They're actually having designers out of Phoenix design those homes up there.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, as an architect, I wholeheartedly agree with the building official. I think we need to be more professional and keep it separated. And I think it's easier for you to review, it's easier for us to design. And I just want to say that I like the idea. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing, again, I just want to make sure that we are not pursuing something that later on is going to be a problem. What your recommendation is, it's going to be the same as what we had before in the meeting that, you know, we had in terms of the 2006. So they can choose one code and follow that code. And then, you know, they can, outsiders or whoever wants to go with the 2012, they can assume that as a code and follow that code.
That's true. That's exactly what I'm proposing.
I guess my only concern is because we did go through and kind of pick and choose, and I guess I'll ask you directly, Ed, are you asking us to adopt the 2012 IRC in its completion as written, and allow somebody to design their plans, hold to that, and kind of push aside our recommendations from before? My fear is a stepping stone, because we were very leery about the 2012 IRC.
No, I think what we should, my proposal would be that, but I think we still need to do, our next item is set up a workshop to discuss this more thoroughly, to make sure the amendments that you did propose in the 12, that we carry those along into the new adoption of the 12. So that way, we're not really changing anything, we're just giving people more options.
If I may suggest, then, is there a problem if we basically table this until we get that discussion going?
No, that would be absolutely perfect.
I think that would be the best option that we would be able to do, is, you know, to table that item, item 4. But again, you know, if somebody wants to apply for a, you know, portal frame, are you going to stop them from doing it now?
No.
Okay, so they can go ahead and pull the
Right.
permit, right?
Yeah,
Okay, so,
The county has been very, I portal frame a lot, and they've been very good with us, working with which one, once we ironed out what we wanted. So, yeah, I mean, I see the point you're making. It's a good point. It's a valid discussion.
okay, and then, since we are mixing 4 and 5 right now, the workshop that you were talking about, my assumption is that, my understanding was from the discussion we had, is that you're going to go ahead and find the areas that you're concerned about, or the building department is concerned about, and provide this to the code advisory board so we can basically review it and then come to the workshop, right?
I think that's gonna we're going to eliminate a lot of that by having the two different options on the code. So I think it would be best to have a workshop and discuss how we want to do that. I can bring the interpretative manuals that tell you why
I know,
things were
but,
changed.
Mr. Clegg, I'm saying that, these are all, professionals working and all that. So coming to a workshop, I think that, if you go through it and give us like an outline of what your basically your findings are and present it to us, we would be able to review it on our own and then come to the workshop more intelligently and, have a better discussion. We can share with other stakeholders, other contractors, builders, architects, structural engineers that, they are involved. And this way we can, maybe have one last, meeting on this thing and get it all wrapped up.
Okay, I can put together some of those items that I see as being issues for Mojave County.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I would suggest that, we're going to have amendments to the 06,
Right.
and they'll stay with the 06, and we're going to have amendments to the 012, they'll stay with the 012. So we need to look at what we looked at before and apply them to the code that it relates to.
Correct.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. All right, so basically what we need to do on this is item 4 and 5, if we can have a motion to table until that, time of the workshop.
I'll make a motion to table those until the workshop is finished.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Kolik, when do you think that you would have the item sent email to us? I mean, here it says quarterly meeting date. I just want to make sure that, we would have the timeline. I mean, I know you're very busy, but how long?
I would like 30 days.
At minimum 30 days? Okay. So can we say, because I know, we want to do it like 3 months from now, Director Walsh?
Yeah, we could actually, excuse me, whatever the board's preference is, but we could set that workshop as the next quarterly meeting, if that works best for all. I know you all are very busy, so,
that's
I
fine.
hate to add more meetings to you, but if you'd like, we could do that workshop at the next quarterly meeting.
Well, I just want to make sure there would be enough time after, Mr. Kolik is done with his review and recommendation or, outline that he has, that we would be able to communicate with the stakeholders, make sure that the contractors, architects, structural engineers, all that would be able to have opportunity to review and comment, and then we would be able to come to the workshop.
Okay.
So what I'm saying is that, it seems like the workshop is going to be part of the next meeting. Is that correct?
And that would be up to the board to decide, but that's
Have
what
any
I would
objection to
recommend,
that?
yeah.
I don't.
That would be fine. So, based on the timeline, if we, let's say, if we have, 40 days, 45 days for Mr. Kolik to finish what he's doing and getting it to us and sending it out to all the stakeholders. I know at the time we had a long list of contractors, that emails and all that. I just hope that you would be able to send the information to them and be able to, get, them involved to make comments and, all that. And then, we would have about 45 days to, work it, debate it, and then we would be ready to come to the meeting.
Sure.
So
Yeah,
if we have-
And I believe we still do have that list.
So
that
do you
would
want to
be-
look at your calendar about 90 days from now? What's a good,
Sure. Let's see. It's going to put us right in November, December
Right.
timeframe. So I guess just with those holidays in mind, whatever works for the board best, we can accommodate.
do you want to do it like first week of December?
That'll work. That's before
Right
the
after
storm, yeah.
Thanksgiving?
That'll work out. Yeah.
Okay, so I know that you have several different meetings yourself. Which day would be working for you?
The first week of December, back to Chicago.
Okay. So second week maybe?
Yeah.
The building official will be out of town the first week in December, and I believe I also have a conference that first week of December. Would it be possible to do the second week of December?
Sure.
And we could make that, the second week, I have a Planning and Zoning Commission meeting, as do some of you as well, on the second Wednesday of the month. So we could do it either the
Same
Thursday.
time? Is it okay with you, Paul?
Yes, it is, thank
Is it
you.
okay, Keith? Okay. So what is the date on that one?
December 14th.
December 14th, okay.
Let's see real quick.
And same time, 1:30 PM?
14th or 13th?
The 13th would be the Planning and Zoning meeting.
Oh, so 13th.
So
Can
the
we do it on the
four-
13th? So we don't make 2 trips?
Hey, that would be doable too.
Is the room available?
13th, yeah, because that was started at,
I think the room would be available right after the P&Z, right?
it should be, we can verify that. We'll find out for sure. But yeah, that actually would work really well. We could do
Okay.
that both in that day.
So do you want to have the same time, or you want to make it at 1, or 1:30 is okay, or?
Why don't we do 1 o'clock?
1
So
o'clock?
Get it started.
Doug, are you okay
Yeah,
with that?
that's, I'm wide open.
Okay.
That's the 14th, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess if I may, the
13th,
only
right?
concern that we
December
may have
13th.
is if
I'm sorry.
the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting runs long.
But we
that
try
may
to
be-
close it fast.
Okay.
We don't let call for shake, goof around.
So is that 1 o'clock on the 13th, am I hearing?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
December 13th, 1 PM. And again, that is, hopefully by then we have the report within 45 days, and we will share that. And again, I encourage you to have it on the website, send it to all the emails that you have, and there should be a long list of emails that, I remember we had a room packed with, builders, contractors from Kingman, from Bullhead, from Havasu, and all that.
And if I may, just so I'm clear on what we'll be sending out, is here within the next couple of weeks, we'll be sending out an email to all the builders and basically say we're looking to have this workshop on the 13th of December at 1 PM. Please submit any issues or any concerns that you have with the current building code. We'll be looking into those issues and look to address them on the 13th.
That would be great. May I request Director Walsh to may add to that, the building department intention is to be customer-oriented.
Perfect. Will
And,
do.
some positive notes on that, because there is a negative wave going on right now.
Be
And I'm
happy to.
hoping that you would be able to do some damage control on that. The other thing that we have, item 7, the only thing that I may add is the request by the Supervisor Angus to, rescind as advisory committee, to basically honor that. Because again, this just came together really fast, and unfortunately, right after, our, suggestion that we had for like 35% and, asking for more customer service, the building department had some issues. So my recommendation is to reboot it and, restart as long as other board member. Again, our job is to make a recommendation. It's the advisory committee. We are not decision makers. So if you don't mind, if you want to make a motion on that one?
I'll make a motion to rescind that and bring it up for later discussion.
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
So it's basically the recommendation of the board to the Board of Supervisors is to, at this time, due to the unforeseen problems that we had, to rescind and let, the stakeholders, the Board of Supervisors have a better understanding of, the permit fees and all that, and hopefully they will be able to adopt a different number, code, whatever they want to do. Any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention my firm in the electrical engineer that we work with. We work, like I said, we work in different cities throughout the county, and some of them haven't adopted the energy code. And I was hoping we could look at that because we have a lot of issues when we're designing buildings and remodeling buildings that we don't think is necessary. And I was wondering when we discuss the code and its adoption, maybe we could discuss that as well.
Yes, we can, and it would be I would support not adopting the energy code, especially in commercial buildings, because it has not been perfected yet. Still has a lot of issues that they're working out at the national level.
Yes, thank you.
So do we have that is already adopted? Okay, so is that something that needs to be acted upon right now?
No, And we just want to say that
To the
we can-
workshop?
we can add it to the workshop.
Okay.
Chair-
Uh,
Chairman Arzami.
Currently, we've only adopted the 2006 energy code requirements out of the IRC. We did not adopt the international
So
energy
I have the same-
code.
We have the same issues with either, either one, the 06 or the 012.
Yeah,
So-
okay.
So we can visit the energy section because there's,
Do you want to, write up a write-up to all? Do you mind if you take the lead on that?
I have something written already.
You have?
of,
Could you share that with everybody then?
I can.
Okay. Mr. Selberg already has a write-up on this thing, so he's going to share with everybody, and, maybe we can, in the workshop, we can basically make it
Yeah,
as an
I
action.
could pass that along to staff.
yeah, if you could
Okay.
pass that along, that'd be appreciated.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, even back when I was back in Goodyear, we had a lot of heartburn with the energy code and working with the Home Builders Association. We did make quite a few modifications to that for production building and even for custom homes, just to make it dollar for dollar, because you're not getting the bang for your buck if you adopt the code right now.
So that way, okay?
Yes, thank you.
Any other discussion? Doc, any other discussion?
Mr. Chairman.
Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.